We are going to randomly draw from this little bucket here that Kelly's holding up, and that's how we'll select the first person to go. After they do their 2 minutes, they'll pass the mic until we go all the way around and get back to where we started, and then we'll do the next question.
So I'm just going to make a quick comment that I'm asking everybody to put a smile on your face, because tonight we get to exercise our freedom. Absolutely. Smile on your face. We are a free Texas and a free country, and we want to enjoy that and be glad we're here. And we are in our city council structure. It is set up as a republic, just like our state, just like our national. We are a republic, and yes, and that means that we elect people to represent us in the governance of our municipality, in this case. And so we are going to elect them to represent us. So I ask you to listen closely to all the answers and the questions, and we'll enjoy the evening, and we are happy to see you. We're happy for you to be here, and thank you for celebrating our republic with us this evening.
Okay, so we are going to draw for the first candidate to select. Moxie will have you draw who the first person will be. Okay, Tom Sherlin, you are our first candidate. Okay, so for question 1, since everyone is running on fixing our infrastructure, keeping taxes low, and fighting crime, what are 3 additional objectives of your campaign?
I think we're live now. Okay. 3 major things in my campaign is to continue with public safety. We started public safety this year. We created through budget, we found extra $10,000 to give our first responders throughout fire and police. We've created a regional crime center, which is very, very important. We're also looking at bringing drones into the city where we can respond to fire and police. We can dispatch a drone from fire stations throughout our city. And through the drones, we will have first-hand information on what is actually happening at the scene. An officer may be out there by himself. We're sending other officers, but the other officers can see and what's going on and what the scene's going to be. Secondly, I would like us to continue. This year we started with $1 million for new water lines in North Heights. I would love us to continue that and expand it throughout along North Heights. They've sort of been shortchanged over the last 50 plus years. We found $1 million this year to put into that. Thirdly, I would like to see us go ahead. We made a health care center in Potter County by our health department. It is a prenatal, postnatal to help, because Potter County has the highest rate of infant mortality. I would love us to see expand that into dental, eye care, everything else for the community. We're working for the citizens of Amarillo. All these things I mentioned are citizen-oriented. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes. Since everyone is running on fixing infrastructure, keeping taxes low, and fighting crime, what are 3 additional objectives of your campaign?
Okay, yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, and what I've been proudest of that the council has done in working with the city staff to do this, is really looking for the ways to spend our money the most. And I think what we have to prove to the citizens in the community is that you're giving us your money, and it's an investment, and you should be getting return on this investment. And so one of the things I think we need to continue to look on is looking at all areas of the budget to where we can continue to do these fundamental things. There are certain things that, and you mentioned 3 of them, that only government can do. And no one else is going to bring a police force in here. No one else is going to fix your infrastructure, your roads. So for me, focusing on those fundamental things, those 3 things are the top priorities that we've got to continue to work on in the coming 2 years. And you've got to have a strategy. There's been decades of neglect on our infrastructure. You're not going to set decades of neglect in just 1 or 2 years. It's going to have to continue to go. So I think looking at the budget efficiencies that we can get and being able to figure out how to reallocate those monies back into those things that have been ignored for many years is really the top priority that we need to focus on in the coming 2 years. Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, I'm just going to go ahead and come out and say it that I'm going to close the AEDC cookie jar. I'm going to work my tail off to make sure that those systems and processes are in place to where the things that have happened can't happen any further, to where our taxpayers aren't questioning where their money's going towards. My next thing, in addition to the things that you listed, I'm tired of seeing Amarillo play catch up. We talk about what we need to do to get to these certain points, but that's not very much having a good foresight. It's to say where we want to go. We're just saying where we want to get to versus what goals we have to get further ahead. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. What could our city leaders, what could our fire chiefs, our fire leaders, what could our police leaders do if we were able to get ahead of the cost of living adjustments that we need to make? If we were able to get ahead of other cities that are trying to take our firefighters and our police officers away. The next thing that we need to do, we need to start thinking a little bit outside the box, implementing things such as MUDs, municipal utility districts, finding ways to effectively grow our tax base while not being a huge burden on our taxpayers when we're upgrading those facilities and those infrastructures that need to be in place to start growing our city. We want to attract businesses here, but they need a place to live, they need a place that they can go. We've definitely got to start thinking outside the box on some of these things.
Can you please start off with your name? Not everybody knows who you are.
Tim Reed, Place 1. First, I'd like to thank everybody that's put their name on the line, the men and women that are running for these offices. I think it's very important that we appreciate, as citizens, what they're willing to do for you. As I look at the 3 things that I think are important outside the 3 that everybody is kind of running on, the first one that I would look at is the homeless issue that we have here in town. It is a big issue, and it's been worked on by the councils over the last 6 to 8 years, and it's getting better, but there's more that we can do. The second is when it comes to budgeting. When I was with the FBI and I ran a $65 million a year budget, every year I started with a 0-line budget. So it wasn't just take last year's budget and add a couple percent to it. Everybody had to qualify from their department exactly what they needed for the year. And that way we could concentrate on areas that were more important that particular year as opposed to the year before. So you're able to prioritize a little bit better. And the third area is something that we have to do as we look into the future. And that is our electric grid. We do not have the power to attract businesses that are going to be what our future is. And that is in the next generation of technology and AI. We do not have that capacity at this point. And in order to do that, we have to have a plan looking 5 to 10 years into the future, because it's not something you can do overnight.
It begins and ends with the economy. Over the past decade, Amarillo has only seen a 6% economic growth, whereas Lubbock has seen 13% economic growth. So we need to make sure that we are good stewards of taxpayer money, because I think it's wasteful spending for the current city council to be spending $345,000 on an Austin-based attorney to teach them how to run our city. We have a city attorney we should rely on. On top of that, it's wasteful spending for the city council to award a terminated city manager $730,000 from the enterprise fund, which actually goes and is designated to fund our drainage and sewage projects. So we need to also get serious about tying up those loose ends. But in addition to those issues, we need to look at the Vibrant Moms Project, something that is an established partnership between the City of Amarillo and the Texas Tech University Health Science Center in response to the high maternal morbidity and mortality due to the fact of preeclampsia. So we need to make sure that we're investing in the health care for our most vulnerable. We need to also look at the interloan library fees, because they are actually becoming a burden for those who want to have access to our public library. And on top of everything else, we need to make sure that we are looking into affordable housing. As the candidate who received the endorsement from the Amarillo Association of Realtors, it is important that we simplify regulations and adjust the zoning with buffers to ensure that there's more flexibility for our developers to increase the availability of homes.
My name is Don Tibbs. I'm running for Place 2. I'm currently serving on your Amarillo City Council Place 2. So 3 other areas that I would say we need to continue to focus on would be transparency and communication. I think this council's done a phenomenal job of that. But one area that I think that we can do better is communication. What I really want to see is when our taxpayer dollars are being used for a project, that you get to see that. Like I know it's going to take a little bit of money, but to make a banner saying, hey, these are your taxes, your fees, your drainage fees you're providing for this project. Because I think there's a lot of things that we see around town and you think, well, gosh, what's this doing? Well, we want you to see that. But we also want the lights on all the time. We want you to see what's going on behind the city government. So I think communication and transparency. I think we continue with fiscal conservative policies. This council, I think the biggest thing that you can do when you serve on council is you manage that budget. Okay, just like Tim said, I mean, managing the budget is crucial. So, this last budget session, we found $2 million that was being overcharged in our pharmaceutical plan. We found that, we identified it, we got them to come down to $2 million a year. That's fiscal conservatism. We found the money for raises for our first responders, for our police officers and our firefighters. So, public safety, I know you said fighting crime, but public safety is broader than just fighting crime. So we continue through this fiscal conservatism and being diligent and good steward to find the money for our fire apparatuses, health screenings for our firefighters, raises to boost morale and to help with retention. I am going to come back to Patrick's comment about paying the $750 for Jared Miller. Let me tell you, that was contractual. That was nothing that we wanted to do. That was contractual, set forth by the previous council and the previous mayor. That is not something we wanted to do. We were forced to do it. So, appreciate you.
Hello, my name is David Prescott. And would you repeat the question one more time, just so we don't get mission drift?
Since everyone is running on fixing our infrastructure, keeping taxes low, and fighting crime, what are 3 additional objectives of your campaign?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a very relevant question because I'm very happy that my campaign started out on infrastructure and now everyone is talking about it. So that is a win for Amarillo right there. The 3 things that I really believe that would be additional to those 3 things, I think there needs to be something done with the homeless population. My wife and I are very familiar with that. We have a family member and is in that circumstance. It's very challenging for individuals that are homeless to find proper shelter, proper medication, And especially if the addiction is so great, you cannot get into some of the facilities that we have now. So we need to think outside the box. When you don't have a form of ID in this city to get the required forms of ID to be able to utilize the services we have, it's almost an insurmountable problem for some of these folks that we have in our community, and they are part of our community. Second, fair representation of all parts of the city. I can't believe how many people reached out to me from the northeast side, from the northwest side, southeast, saying, hey, what's going on with our water? What's going on with the sewer? Why is this not happening? Why are we only talking sometimes about the southwest side of town? We're all citizens of this city. And if we're not giving enough money to certain parts because they're underrepresented, I think that's a huge problem. Amarillo is stronger when it's together. And we can't have silos in different areas where we're not moving together as a group. Parks, outside spaces, activities, man, it's tough here sometimes, especially when it doesn't rain. So if we can continue to find some dollars to work on that. And talking about dollars, I think that Tim and Patrick both said economic development. We have to start seeking funding right now at this next council for the critical issues. We need state dollars, federal dollars, grants, anywhere that we can find for the critical infrastructure pieces. And that would be my priority along with the others. Thank you.
Nini Perez running for place 3. So on top of those 3 items, one of those that I look at would be we need to build locations for our younger population, our future. I myself have an 8-year-old daughter, and it's kind of ridiculous, also exciting at times, but I have to travel to Dallas, Houston, Denver for competitions that we can host right here in Amarillo, whether it be cheer, basketball, volleyball. We're not investing for that future here. When it comes to shove, when these kids start graduating, even at the last meeting that we had here, we had a group of young individuals. You know what? They got jobs in Dallas. That's where they're going. They're not sticking around. We need to invest in a community that grows right here, and the only way to do that is by building that right now for our young folks. Another item that I look at is finding permanent solutions for the fixes that repeat every election cycle. Roadways. Every 2 years is one topic. Asphalt only lasts for 2 years, apparently. They're not rated for the growth that we have and the growth that we're going to get in the future. We're the atrium of commerce. Amarillo is the atrium of commerce, especially with the growing expansion of I-27 and I-40 connecting east and west of our nation. We have to invest in that. Invest in those permanent solutions. We've got to revitalize our community, especially our north and east side of our community. Everywhere I go, every person I talk to, they ask me, what district do you represent? And that's probably the worst thing I could ever hear, because at the end of the day, we represent the entire community of Amarillo, not just one district. And it's sad to hear the population that believes that. That's where we're at currently. And I wish to tie that in where we don't have to face that going forward. Thank you.
The next question will be posed to Les Simpson, who will be up first. What specifics can you offer to the council to cut the red tape and streamline to make various city processes, such as obtaining building permits, inspections, and approvals, less complex and more user-friendly?
I appreciate that question, because one thing that we're going to have to do and continue to do is make it easier to do business in Amarillo, because there are a lot of challenges. Now, there are some departments that we worked on where we've, like environmental health, for example, we've done a tremendous amount of working with the local restaurants to be able to streamline that and do that better. But really, that's something that the council is going to have to charge the city manager with being able to do that. But one of the biggest problems, and one of the things that I don't think we've addressed as well as we need to and needs to be addressed is making it easier to do business in Amarillo. One of the reasons why it needs to be easier to do business in Amarillo is we need more of it, because our largest source of income to run our government is not property tax, it's sales tax. In fact, property tax is something that we need to rely less and less on to be able to run the government. The state has put a limit on how much we can raise that each year. There's some people that are looking at wanting to get rid of property tax, which I don't think anyone will object to. However, we need to come up with other funding to be able to replace that. And sales tax is our number one. There's no limit on it. It's a tax of choice where people can choose to spend or not to spend. And it's something that is in our future. So anything that we can do to make doing business easier in this community is going to generate more sales tax, is where our future is going to be, not on property tax in the future. Thank you.
I didn't say my name first. My name is Leif Curtis. I'm running for place 4. Being in construction, I have to go get permits quite frequently. Luckily, we've been able to kind of get around and know what strings to pull. Unfortunately, not everybody's going to know that. I think the specifics that we need to do is we need to employ and encourage a community activation to where we're going through these departments. Who's asking for what? What are the reasons? Why are we not doing a root cause analysis on why these people are asking for these building permits, and figuring out who's asking for them and why, and then going through the process and figuring out what we can eliminate. And that's pretty much as specific as you can get, is going down to a root cause analysis, figuring out where the problems are, what can be eliminated, what can be made better. I don't think that it's a quick fix. Unfortunately, just like many problems that we face in Amarillo today, there's very few quick fixes, and this is not one of them. Mr. Simpson is absolutely right. We need to make it easier for business to come to Amarillo and do business. They need to be able to develop in a quicker manner, but a responsible manner as well. I think we cannot lose sight of the fact that when these businesses are coming in and doing these things, they still have to do it responsibly. And they still have to do it to our standards. And they have to do it safely. And they have to do it for the betterment of Amarillo.
Read place 1. Specifics, when we run in a 2-year cycle, they're easy to talk about and harder to do. Right? And so, when we talk about audits, most of us are familiar with doing an accounting audit. But I would think that it would be important to do that process in different departments within the city. And I'm just going to use building codes as an example. What codes do we have sitting on the books that aren't necessary anymore? That go back 40, 50, 60 years because no one's taken the time to go through and draw a line, kind of like a line item veto. What are the codes that we are following? There are international codes in building that we follow that we don't necessarily have to because we're in the United States. And so we need to look at those things and do an actual audit, not only in the building codes, but in other departments within the city.
Patrick Miller, place 1. As Mr. Reed said, 2 years is a very short time. And in fact, when I was on the Amarillo College Board of Regents, I had to be faced within my first 2 years with a serious budget shortfall to the tune of $3.5 million. And the taxpayers expected me to work with my fellow regents to find solutions. And then we adopted zero-based budgeting. We increased accessibility and affordability while helping to manage a $67 million budget. And we eventually became the Aspen Award #1 winning community college in the nation because of our good stewardship. Mr. Tips said that we found the money for firefighters and police, and that is true. However, I sit on the Amarillo Police Department Community Advisory Panel, and I can tell you, with 333 police officers, we are still 27 short of what we need. So there's still more work that needs to be done. As far as having a way to cut through the red tape, I think the citizen advisory boards do an excellent job of having the citizens in charge of that process, where they are closely attached to the issues, and then they can respond to the city council, provide us with the updates we need to act accordingly, and in doing so, working with the staff in a collaborative manner, be able to propose solutions which could be passed in the form of ordinances which promote growth. Growth that I was able to help with when I served on the Amarillo College Board of Regents, because in doing so, we collaborated with the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation to create jobs for our city. Cacique and Panhandle Pure, those were jobs that were AEDC and all taxing entities approved.
Don Tips, Emerald City Council Place 2. So making everything more efficient, that is absolutely something that we've done. And to Tim's point, 2 years is rough to get it done, but we're already seeing results. Building permit time is down where it was 18 months-ish ago. We do have a mayor who is a builder, so he understands this greatly. So we've been doing that. What we've done as well is embrace innovation and technology. As simple as when these inspectors go out to map where they go and what makes sense. None of that sounds simple, but used to it wasn't that way. They would go from one part of town to the other part of town, and that's time wasted. So embracing innovation and technology, what we've done is allow them to map. I know it sounds crazy simple, but we've done that and improved their efficiency to get there quicker. We have also, I will tell you one of the biggest things. Well, one thing we did recently, and I'll give Mayor credit here, I'm going to use a term that's being used, everybody kicks around, is that we have kind of a Doge committee. You may love it, you may hate it, but it's exactly going through our old ordinances that maybe we don't need, maybe we need to revamp. So we've already started that process. So that's in the process. I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that we've done. So ultimately, the city is an organization. It's a customer service organization for you. It is for the builders, it's for the citizens, and that's the way it should be. So what we've initiated this year for the first time is a merit-based pay system. Okay, so crazy. Used to that wasn't the case. Everybody got paid the same. Didn't get paid the same. Everybody got the same raise across the board. Now it's customer service based. It is based on their merit. So if they are falling down on their job, they will not see the raise that they deserve. There's someone that's going to work hard is going to get it. It's earned. So that's what we're going to do. A new culture to embrace this to create the efficiencies.
Place 3. I think that the key here is empower the city manager and empower the staff. After several meetings that I've had with the staff, we have an incredible staff at City Hall. We have folks that have institutional knowledge that is second to none, and they're doing a fantastic job. Every 2 years, you get a new set of folks with a whole new set of ideas and how we're going to save the day. Herb Kelleher of Southwest Airlines, what did he say? Find the best people, give them the best tools, and then just get out of the way and manage. If we're constantly in the way trying to improve things, and it's a new season every 2 years, how effective is that going to be for the folks that have been doing it for 20 years? And many of you out there in the audience might be those folks that have been there 2 years, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Do we have the institutional knowledge that an individual has that this city council brought from another city to be our city manager? Is that individual the one that needs to be doing most of the heavy lifting and researching these things at guidance from council? Absolutely. That is how I would manage that. In Lubbock, we've talked many times, how is Lubbock so far ahead of Amarillo? Well, they're business focused. They have liaisons that walk new companies that go to Lubbock for building and different things. They walk them through from A to Z to make sure that the process is successful. There's a company, a small business on I-27 right now. It's homegrown. They're doing a fantastic job. They're trying to add 4 bays in Amarillo right now. 6 months ago they applied and they still don't have it done right now. That's a problem. That's not business focused. And if everyone up here says that we need sales tax and different mechanisms to grow this city, why are we not business focused and allowing businesses to get up and running faster? Get the city managers and those folks running. Thank you.
So cutting through the red tape, when it comes to it, luckily I work for a company that just recently moved here from California. So cutting through that red tape was rather interesting. One of the primary reasons I got accepted in the position here is because guess what? I'm from here. I know a lot of people here in Amarillo. And if there's any questions of who do we need to talk to get the answer for this, they didn't know who. This company didn't know who from Adam they needed to go to City Hall. Who do I need to contact for this? Who do I need to contact for that? We have to delineate exactly, to develop an actual business package designed for these large businesses wanting to move over here to Amarillo. So they have a streamline where to go. Also understanding the oversight authorities for these particular businesses. Some businesses that move in here already have countless audits from federal and state entities. Why are we tying down our city personnel to do the same exact inspections? They have their hands full with other items for the city, work for our city. We have to remove that from them. We have to have that trust and understanding what reports they have, what they have growing for them. And that's the kind of red tape that we have to get rid of. Understand where we can repurpose our personnel, because yes, our candidates say this, and talking to the city manager, we have an amazing staff here in that city of Amarillo. I mean, I can reach out to just about any of them and they have an answer, and it's amazing. So we are very proud of that, and I appreciate that.
Tom Sherman, place 3. This is a very big issue that I've dealt with over the last 2 years. I probably had more phone calls on this one issue than I have on any other issue. I've been contacted by hoteliers, private residents. People are having trouble navigating the city's system. Now, the city has a system, and we have a good staff, and they know what they're doing. But the problem we have is a communication problem. And we need to work on that so that when we're inspecting, for instance, property, the same inspector goes out the first time, the second time, and the third time. A lot of time what's happening today is an inspector will go out, a different inspector goes out the next time, finds something totally different, and then another inspector goes out and finds something else. So to be truthful, we need to get on the same page within our city. Now, I firmly believe that the city manager has complete control over his staff. It's his job, it's not my job. My job is to maybe ask a question, and that's what I do. I've had a hotelier trying to build a hotel for a year. Do you know how much tax money the city of Amarillo lost because we're just now breaking ground? Lots of money. We could have had this thing built 6 months ago, but we've been fighting City Hall. Now, we can fix this. It's not my job to fix it. It's the city manager's job, and we just need to get together and get on the same page. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, Leif Curtis. Okay, so the last question. Okay, what role should the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation play moving forward? Should it operate independently or as a delegated arm of the council?
Oh goodness, the way to word this. I think it needs to have oversight by city council. I'll just come out and say, I'm not going to try to mince words. It needs to have some sort of oversight by city council, because at the end of the day, city council is responsible for where the taxpayers' money is going towards, and the AEDC is using those taxpayer monies. So the role that it needs to play moving forward, first and foremost, the systems and the processes need to be revamped, redone. It needs to be overhauled. There's no getting around it. And the goals and the quantitative and qualitative measures need to be more laid out. You can't blame, I'll say I like Kevin as a person, but when you have the goals that you have, I mean, it is what it is, right? So the goals need to be where we're looking at as to what's creating actual economic growth to increase our tax base, right? It's not just creating 3,000 jobs, it's creating X amount of jobs that are coming from a different part of the country that's increasing our tax base to ease the burden on all these people sitting out here as well. So that way we're not constantly going back to them saying, yeah, we're building this, but it's all on you now, okay? It could be on the 1,000 people that this company brings from a different part of the country. That's real economic growth. I could go on and on about the AEDC. I've got a master's in finance and economics. Just at the end of the day, the AEDC needs to be part of the city council. There needs to be that oversight. It needs to be rehauled. And quite frankly, it needs to be done for the people of Amarillo, not for the few that have been using it for their personal gain in the past.
Timmery Place One. I think the AEDC is an essential part of what we do as a city. We can go back and rehash 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 20 years, and we can find things that they did right and things they did wrong. And that's with any of us, because we're all human and nobody does everything right, and people do things wrong. So transparency is going to be a big thing on however the AEDC continues to exist. But I think it's an essential part of the business arm of what we do for the city. So one of the questions I'm going to ask is, what do we expect from the AEDC? I think that's where you have to start. And then we work from there. There has to be some controls over them. I think when they were chartered, they operated as a separate entity. And maybe that's something that we bring back and we make sure that there's just a little bit of oversight from the city, as opposed to free reign. But those are things that are easy to talk about, and getting the right people in the room and have that discussion, because it is you that the AEDC represents and the council represents. And so we can't just do those things in a bubble. We have to go out to the public. We have to ask the citizens of Amarillo, what do they want? What are their expectations of the AEDC and whatever follows from it? Thank you.
Patrick Miller, Place One. I think it was mentioned earlier that Amarillo has a DOGE-like committee. Well, on the federal level, this DOGE committee eliminated essential funding for Catholic charities of the Texas Panhandle. It eliminated essential funding for Spora Mile Community Development. It eliminated essential funding for Pantex. I don't know about you, but I don't want a DC-based solution for Amarillo problems. In terms of the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation, we need to remember that a Type A Economic Development Corporation operates in a way that promotes manufacturing, industrial jobs, and can serve as a headquarters for corporate, regional, or national headquarters. Moving forward, the City Council that is elected on May 3rd and begins operating on May 13th needs to choose from the qualified list of candidates to serve on the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation board.
Okay, Don Tibbs, Place 2. So, EDC obviously has been a hot topic lately, as we all know. My opinion is, and I know it's not necessarily goes with everybody, I know there's one in the room that definitely disagrees with me, but right now I think it's needed in order for us to compete with other cities, whether you like it or you don't like it. From this council, you've seen we've changed the way the incentives have been given. We're not big on tax abatement and giving over the income of the city to an organization. We've been very creative in that. So to answer your question, I would say I think that it needs to be independent, but with the council oversight, which is very much what it is now. We exercised that oversight during this term. It wasn't liked a whole lot, but what we found is the policies were pretty loose over there. It wasn't anybody's fault, but it was just run very loose. What we did is we did a new certificate of formation and new bylaws and policies to tighten that thing up. We are about to appoint a new board. I will tell you, I'm pretty unique in the fact that I'm sitting on the board right now temporarily. So I get a unique look at what's going on here. So everybody from the outside can cast stones, but I'm telling you, when you're sitting in there, you don't know what it's like. So we welcome you in. You know, the public meetings, we have some that show up. But what I would say is, with oversight of the council, I think that I think Tim's point is, those are taxpayer dollars and it needs oversight. And they always come to council, and that's when we need to exercise that oversight. I'll make this comment also. The police, we are still a few short in, the number of officers, but we've had one of the largest academies because we did pass those raises. We have one of the largest academies. We are attracting people to fill those positions.
David Prescott for place 3. I think that the EDC plays Amarillo EDC plays a critical role in the city. 100% for an independent group. Why? Why for an independent group? There's 700 EDCs in the state of Texas. If I'm looking to move talent in my company to Decatur or Tyler, and Tyler offers me $200,000 to go there, and Decatur offers me $100,000, and neither location is critical, which one would you take as a better business person? You're going to take the Tyler location and save $200,000. If there are 700 EDCs in the state of Texas fighting for the same companies, we have to be competitive. We have to. Because we keep saying over and over that we need economic growth, we need businesses to come here for better jobs, and we need to be business focused and business centric. Are there problems with the ADC? Yeah, there's problems. Were the guardrails loose? Clearly they were loose. I mean, at what point do we need to realign the goals? And what does a win look like? And how do we reestablish trust? That's what we've lost in this issue. We've lost trust. But it doesn't mean that they were doing a bad job. We just don't feel or see if it was going in the right direction. Look at models that are successful. If we have 700 EDCs throughout the state of Texas, who's knocking it out of the park? How did Abilene, a very, very similar city to Amarillo, get a $500 billion AI complex? How does Lubbock continue to grow? How does Oklahoma City continue to grow? How does Colorado Springs to the north continue to grow? We have to look at these models that are successful and revamp on the ones that are winners and mimic them for us to continue to operate in Amarillo.
So first and foremost, any entity using our taxes needs oversight from the council. First and foremost, we have to have that oversight. Now, EDC is a very crucial point. It is a marketing arm for our community. We need to actually establish attainable goals for that growth. Actually establish. We need to have a more frequent and established way of using those metrics to show our community, show the community, where the community can actually see and understand what is our success rate. That's one thing that, when it comes to entities like this, you have to have that, you have to be able to show what you sold. Right now, it's very hard to do. Yes, the previous EDC was very loose, but hearing a lot of what was said before, yeah, we can revamp that, revitalize that, but we have to set up a structure for that now, and then actually hold that group accountable for any kind of leniency or going beyond those borders. Doing Perez on place 3.
Thank you. Tom Sherwood, running for place 3. My definite opinion is that AEDC should fall under the control of the city council. I don't care who you are, if you're getting tax money, you need to have oversight. Now, as an ex-CEO of a large company, I know good and well when we were growing, I didn't necessarily go and find the place that had the best deal. I knew where I was going to go. I knew where I was going to move. I knew I wanted to set up in Houston or San Antonio. And then I went to the EEDC to see if what they were willing to give. Because anything they're going to give is going to hit my bottom line. So, in reality, we've got to learn to sell Amarillo. Amarillo is at the crossroads of this nation. We are a north and south highway, we're an east and west highway. We have rail traffic, we have truck traffic. Amarillo will sell itself, but we've got to sell it. I don't care what you're doing, you're selling yourself, you're selling an entity, you're selling something. But I think we need to learn how to sell. And that's the main thing. Amarillo's got a lot to offer. And we don't need to sit down there and get in a bidding war with Abilene or Lubbock. I mean, if you want to look at Lubbock, they're in debt for $1.5 billion. Do you want $1.5 billion debt? I don't. I mean, just think what that does to your taxes. Thank you, Tom Sherman.
Les Simpson, running for City Council Place 4. Really, if you look at the last several months, you've seen City Council has had oversight of the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation. We don't run the day-to-day, but people have questions, and those questions have been asked, and the systems are already been put in place through the direction and working with the ADC. This includes new budget restraints. It gives better direction on how the money is spent and when it's to come to the council for spending. Also, we have new articles of incorporation and bylaws which are much more specific on how to run the operation. But really the most important thing that the council does is we appoint a board of directors to oversee the day-to-day operations of the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation. And when we are looking at the next board members that we appoint, the city council must make sure that we appoint board members who know that our expectation is the highest level of integrity when dealing with taxpayer money. I think that's where things got lost in sight, that forgetting where this money comes from, and that even if it just appears to be bad, this is why people don't trust government with money. They forget about what it looks like, and we need to make sure that the people that this council puts in place to run the board of directors realizes that they have that high level of integrity, that they earn trust, and the city council must make sure that that's the expectation of every board member that goes in there that's running the day-to-day, and it needs to be the expectation of the executive director that they hire. If we don't have people that are that, then they don't need to be serving on the board, or they don't need to be the executive director of the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation. Thank you.
All right. Oh, thank you very much. I want to say and express that as someone who has run for public office, it takes a lot. You have to be willing to lay yourself out there for everybody to see, and they're one way or the other, they're going to find out which way you chew gum. So it is a very challenging thing, and I think that everybody up here needs to be commended for running and throwing your hat in the ring. And I, as a citizen, I appreciate you very much, what you've done. And thank you very much. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we're going to set up for the mayor's debate. So 5 minutes and we'll get started.